You
Okay,
look beautiful.
everyone. So you know what? We're going to go ahead and get started. Everybody can join us. I don't want to hold up the folks who are here on time with us.
I mean, we could compliment each other for a few seconds while people get their little
Yes,
lives
yes,
together.
because girl, I was going to say, you look fabulous as usual.
Thank you. So do you, darling. I'm loving your hair. I'm loving the whole situation.
Thank you.
The
Thank you.
choker,
Thank you.
the matching fall color lipstick and dress.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, you look
I
good.
see you. I love you and I see
Thank
you.
you. And girl, you know, me and you got the two different naturals going on. And girl, I love the autumn hair color, the dew. Yes, ma'am.
Darling.
And your coif is perfect as usual.
Well, the quarantine had us really experimenting with some moisture things to make sure it was together. We
Right, you did
definitely.
a great job. And girl, you know, your glasses are always fly.
Well,
Always.
the funny thing about wearing glasses on these lives is that you have to position the lighting in such a way that it doesn't put a big
The glare.
light on your
Look,
glasses. It's
look,
so
you
super
know,
weird.
you know I
I'm like,
know.
oh, let me try to shift that.
Everybody
So that
happy side. Girl, you know I
okay,
wear
so
glasses most of the time. Don't front. You know that this is my on-camera look. Typically, I'm around the house with the glasses on. You know
right.
that.
I started my career in my specs, so I feel like
Right, right.
the
Well,
precedent has been set. So anyway,
well, you
yeah.
know.
So anyway, we're
Hold
here.
Yes. Hold on a minute. Let me turn my volume up. Somebody said, I don't know. I turned it up. Can y'all still hear me? Hopefully y'all can still hear me.
I hear you.
Yes. So, hey,
Thank you.
everybody. I see everybody coming on board, family, friends. Thank you all so much for joining us.
Okay.
Thank you. Somebody said we look amazing. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. So we done shot the shit. Let's get into
Yes.
it.
Okay. So, hello, beautiful people. I just want to welcome you to my show. My show is going to be exploring stories inspired by my new book. My book coming out, Still Standing. I am so looking forward to having conversations with kindred spirits who are going to share their own triumphant experiences. So, of course, I had to have as my very first guest, my sister, Aja Graydon. Woo!
Yes.
Yes,
Woo
yes.
woo. It's me.
She's
Hey,
going to
boo.
be talking to us today about her growth as a woman, but then
Mm-hmm.
also the strong women influences of her life, how they contributed to her growth. And so
Yes.
I want to say it is an honor. It is an honor, sis, for you to join my show and be my very first guest. And I'd like to say that I'm dedicating this first episode to our mom in heaven,
Yes. Come on, Stacks.
dedicated to Stacks, because I know she is all over this. She is all
Yes.
part of this. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Always in the mix.
Yeah. So how you been doing? How have y'all been sustaining in all of this?
Well, it has been really a challenge on multiple levels because number one, we have a family of 8.
Mm.
And when the pandemic first started kind of popping, of course, we had to welcome home our son very quickly from Atlanta, where he was down there with you guys, and
Yes,
he was down in
I miss
Morehouse.
them.
And so we had to kind of get his travel together. And then we were just forced into this very unique situation with everyone being in the house and not being able to really go to many places.
Yeah.
So it was really, it wasn't necessarily difficult, but it was just different.
Yeah.
But this experience, I think for us, like so many other people during this whole pandemic, has been a time of growth.
Mm-hmm.
And a time that we've been able to look inward and really become stronger as a family.
Mm-hmm.
So I see that as a huge, huge blessing and plus. And this summer in particular, not necessarily working the same way that we would typically be working, because summertime for performers, and for those of you who don't know, my husband and I are in a singing group together, and we do that.
Kindred
And
the
so
Family
obviously,
Soul.
right. And so obviously with the music business being all but shut down, it definitely was a challenge for us because we're used to being on planes, we're used to being traveling and things like that. But being home with the kids and really learning a lot more about them and what they're feeling and really getting into that mode has been a blessing. And then also for me as a woman, it's been an amazing time. I have learned tons of things about myself. I would never, ever have given up this time. This time has been invaluable to me, to be 100% honest.
Yeah.
This has been
Here. Same
transformative is the word.
Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of that, I want to talk about, I know this time has impacted you so greatly as a woman, but let's backtrack a little bit. I want to talk about your growth as a woman, but the strong women, female influences in your life, the role models in your life. If there might be one you want to focus on, there might be more than one, but who is it? Who is that person? And then tell me, what was it about that person, their characteristics, or what did they do to make them, to make you accredit them as a role model in your life?
Wow. So that's such a hard question, because the truth of the matter is that the women in my life have worked together in such a way that they could not be really separated, that their power is actually in their numbers. And the fact that I've had so many women heroes in my life, that it's very difficult for me to really focus on one singular person. I think it's really obvious, especially for those who may know us personally, that at the core, at the center of that tribe of women that has, you know, deeply influenced my life is mommy, is Susan Graydon, is our mother. Our mother, and the way that she ran her life, she showed us that it's about how you build your village. Her entire philosophy was having a strong village of women around you is the best way to build a strong woman. A strong woman needs a strong woman village.
Yeah.
And because mommy had this way of thinking, and because she always looked at her woman village as her community and her family, it was really no difference. There was no difference in community and family.
Yeah.
And for her, because she really believed in that, I had the benefit of having many, 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 many women in my life who have been there and influenced me and molded and shaped me at different times in my life. Because even when mommy wasn't there to facilitate it, it was that philosophy that just was a part of the way I operate in my life.
Yeah.
You know, I never relate to when women say, "Oh, I don't have no women friends. I don't like women. Women, I don't trust women."
Look, me and you give them the side eye. Whatever you like.
Girl, when women say that, it blows my mind, because I'm like, "What, sis? Like, who is your squad, sis? Like, come on, let me show you. In fact, let me show you what a squad look like."
That's right.
Let me. Because you done got it twisted. I'm sorry. I apologize that happened. But I'm like, sis, nah, let's get into it. So with that being said, you know, and obviously I'm sure you'll probably want to get deeper into the whole thing about our mother. But mommy, from the very beginning, her particular group of women friends, they were surrogate mothers. They were very much showed me and taught me tons of things, showed me that a woman who is useful and beautiful in the world doesn't always have to have, let's say, formal education, doesn't have to make a lot of money, but yet at the same time too, they were never afraid of success or doing anything like that. So the women in our lives, you know, they were firsts. They entered into rooms where they may have been the only women or the only Black women. So these are the kinds of women we grew up around before we ever had our own group.
Yes.
I actually am also in the middle of writing a project. So look at us. Boom, boom.
Boom, boom. But making mommy proud. That's right.
Yes. And in my book, I talk about a situation that we both can relate to, our primary school that we attended, which I think is really an amazing story, is that the primary school that we attended was called Robert Brent Elementary School in Washington, D.C. Yeah. And that school was headed by Francis Plummer, Dr. Francis Plummer.
Dr. Plummer.
Dr. Plummer was our principal, and every single staff member, every teacher, every specialty teacher was a Black woman, with maybe one exception.
That's right.
So Black women listen, Black women
Yes.
taught us science. There was a Black woman who was my science teacher.
Yeah,
My
Miss
first
Spalding. Miss
my
Spalding.
first music teacher was a Black woman.
Yes.
My first my first art teacher was a Black woman.
Oh,
My first gym teacher was a Black woman. Hello?
my first English teacher, her daughter is actually on here, Miss Lee. Yes.
Yes, come on.
Kia, if you want to hear, that was your
So
mama.
this is the power thing. This is the power situation that
Yes.
we were raised in.
Yes.
So from starting with mommy and then into her circle and then into our school experience. I mean,
Right.
by the time I was 10 years old, I had seen a myriad of powerful and amazing Black women.
Yes.
So I just thank God. I thank God for that.
Yes.
I thank God for that. Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, it's interesting because for us, the positive, strong female influences, it has directly impacted who we are today. And that's one of the things I want to ask you is, what about your life, or what about you? What aspect of your life can you say it was directly impacted by that influence or by that person or by a certain person? But I also, before you answer that, I want to say this. One of the messages I want to send out to everyone out there, this applies for everyone. Our experience is having strong influences by female influences. It's important even for the men. Even if you have one. For us, the tribes work for us. The villages work for us. But I have sat back and noticed that, men, you got to have at least one. And hopefully you have some brothers. You have your own. You got to have some positive influences and strong influence in your life. So brothers out there, be listening to this, because it's important for you all too, to have someone that you can rely on, someone that you can depend on, someone that you can look up to, because we know it's a struggle out there sometimes for you all to keep things straight, keep things on the that you need somebody that you can cry to. You need somebody that you can be vulnerable to. And I have to say this, because a lot of times men don't have nobody to go to. And that's why they're trying to work it out on their own. And all of us can't work everything out on our own. So
no, I don't know what, honestly, my day-to-day, you know, I don't know what I would do without my team.
Exactly. And so guess what? It's so many men out there too. You gotta at least have one person you can be like, you know what? This is me. This is raw. Today's not a good day. I'm not feeling strong today. I'm not feeling prepared today.
And particularly that's so important also too for us as Black people.
Yes.
So as Black people, we're facing a constant barrage of things that we have to work out. Yes. And if we can't identify it, so first is being able to identify what we're dealing with, what's coming at us. But then also too, after we identify it, then we want to have somewhere to put that energy and talk about it and deal with it. So I think big time, and you said a word there, particularly about our men, but as women, we need to remember also that is an outlet that they may or may not have.
Yeah.
And that that the expectations and being what they are, that they're dealing with that extra kind of level of expectation. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know if it's extra, it's just different. The truth is we're all different. We're dealing with it, and it's coming from different angles and has different nuances and things of that nature.
Yeah. But going back to the women, for us, it is that sisterhood and that connection that helps us to maintain our strength. Because a lot of times, because we actually are given permission to be, sometimes we are given permission to, you know, emote what we're feeling. Sometimes it's like we exhaust all that, and so we need people to catch us, to lift us, because we do get permission to do that. Sometimes it's overwhelming, you know, all those emotions. And so it's so good to have that village, to sometimes carry the weight, to sometimes sit out, to sometimes have somebody to call and cry to, because we do that. That is our nature, to do that emotion. So we need that village. We need this strength. And one thing about mommy, she was that person to everybody. To
Right.
everybody.
Well, you know what's interesting about mommy in this context is over the summer, one of the things that I'm so grateful that I did was I went to grief counseling. And everybody knows, I mean, you know, obviously this story that a good friend of mine recommended me for several sessions with a grief coach. And I was like, sure, you know, no problem. I'm walking into it thinking, I know I'm going to get something out of it. But what actually ended up happening was a really amazing part of the transformation that happened in my life over the summer. And one of the things that I learned in that process was kind of breaking down what mommy's legacy was for me. And her legacy for me was her ability to love others and be there for others. And that was really her superpower. And even though that was her superpower, she wasn't always able to turn that same love and attention and care on herself.
Yeah.
And I think this isn't really rocket science. Most people have this story about their mother. Many people have this story about their mother or other women in their family, whether their grandmother or whomever. They have the same kind of perception. And one of the things I realized is that the way that I would honor mommy's legacy was to upgrade her superpower, which is to say,
right.
I need to honor my mother and what she was able to give by giving that back to myself.
Yes.
What that says is that I learned what I needed to learn from her, but that I honored also the things that she wasn't able to achieve. And this is a part of that thing that we do as we honor our ancestors and we honor the past and we honor those have come before us, that they have a wisdom that will improve our lives. But at the same time, too, it is our job to take that further down the road, to put on more pavers, to continue to be our best, to continue and grow that legacy. So for me, that has been a big part of me shifting my thinking, is that I can't be like mommy and then also carry her load.
Amen.
She was an amazing woman, but still, she left this earth with a load. Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, she wore a crown huge, but heavy
mm-hmm.
crown. And mommy's crown was heavy. And
yeah.
Sometimes it didn't allow her to lift her head. Sometimes that
mm-hmm.
crown weighed her head down. Because
for sure. And we watched
so
this.
Much.
We watched this, and this was also part of the things that damaged us to a degree, because there was a time in my life where I pushed back so hard, not wanting to be like that.
Right.
Like, because you know when I was young, or when we were young, we would look at this caring person and think, I ain't gonna let nobody walk all over me. It ain't gonna be me. Da-da-da-da-da. You know, we didn't have the proper respect for what she was capable of doing.
Exactly.
So we took a little baggage.
Yeah.
We took a little baggage with us. And thank God, you know, he's able to work it out. Yeah. But I want to circle back real quick to something that you said.
Okay.
When you asked me about, was there a specific thing that happened in my life that I know was due to the female influence in my life?
That's what I was gonna say. What about that person saved you?
Ma'am, I literally got 2 times in my life that I was on the floor. You understand what I'm saying? And I hope the people who watch it understand what I mean by on the floor. If you understand what I mean by on the floor, put it in the comments or something, because I need to know y'all with me.
Yes.
There was 2 times in my life I was straight on the floor. The first time I was a teenager and I had really kind of given up and I had really disconnected from the world quite a bit. And I wasn't really sure how I was going to move forward. I wasn't doing well in school. I wasn't really getting along with mommy. I knew that I had talents. I knew I had things that I wanted to do with myself, but I just didn't really know how to get there. And I was really not in a good space, you know? And I think a lot of times when young people are not in a good place, we have a tendency to believe that there's a problem with them, or they're acting like, or they're being bad, or they're a problem or whatever. And I'm sure that was the perception to some people at that time. It was like, what is going on with Aja? Like, she is wilding out.
Yeah.
And
yes.
yeah. So that was the vibe, and I knew that, and that probably made it actually worse because it was like, well, I know everybody's thinking this about me, so I might as well just,
Well, let
keep
me,
on being
can I
a
interject here
problem.
real quick? Part of
Yeah.
that, and looks like people are saying, yes, they understand. They've been there. Part of that, let me explain something to you all. And I'm going to her horn. Guys, this child was brilliant. She, as a small child, she was a small child who used to have conversations with grown people and sometimes would throw them. She wasn't trying to keep up with them. They had to keep up with her. So it was confusing. For those from the outside, you know, those who knew her know what I'm talking about, okay?
Right,
What
right,
I'm
right.
saying is it was confusing because you're like, we know she got all of it. There's our brother said, yes, he remembers that. We knew this girl had all the tools. So smart, super smart, really ambitious, very driven, like it's just as far as her personality was very strong. So it got confusing when we saw her not go down a route that is typical traditional. And I will say that was my mindset back then. It has changed
Right.
since, but at that time it was confusing because everybody
Yeah.
already had their mind what track she was gonna go. And she was
Yeah,
diverse.
yeah, it was a lot of expectations, I suppose. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But you never know what's going on inside a
Which is a
person.
lot
That's
of pressure. No, that was a lot of
yeah,
pressure.
and all the different feelings, isolation, trauma, blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah. But the bottom line was, I wasn't doing well,
Yeah.
and at a time when I think a lot of times parents get really uh are really at a space where they're confused about their kid, and they're like, I don't know what's going on with this kid. Mommy, instead of being very punitive, and it's not that I didn't get punished, it's not that I didn't get, you can't go nowhere or watch TV. It wasn't that. But mommy, at some point, well, my mother, I keep saying mommy, our mother, at some point, decided that being punitive with me was not a good way to go. She sat down with me and she really tried to figure out what I was passionate about and what I did, what was important to me.
Right.
And she decided that all her energy would go into that.
Yeah.
So for me, yes, hashtag growth. And for me, it's that made a huge, that saved my life. If mommy had not had the forward thinking to say, no, I'm not going to punish this child or shame her or make her feel some kind of way about who she is, and based on the expectations, where it was like, she could have been like, I don't buy it, you being lazy, or da 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 da, or whatever.
Right.
And she really just didn't come at me like that, and it really saved my life. She put all her energy into helping me to become an artist and helping me to pursue my art. And I was just a kid, and she got a lot of pushback from it. Being a Black parent who takes that type of stance at that time, that was such a huge move for her. That was such a forward thinking move for her to say, you know what? No, I'm going to figure out what she's passionate about, and I'm going to, I'm going to get behind that.
Yes.
So that was the first time that I really think that, I was kind of resurrected from a space that could have, taken me in a totally different, pathway.
Yes.
Another time, believe it or not, really was 2 years ago when our mother passed away. When mommy passed away, although she had suffered from several, lots of different health problems over the years, it was a surprise. We were not, we did not see this coming. So for those of you watching, we didn't. So, if you followed us on social media, then you knew that we were behaving like people who were surprised, on top of people who were also grieving. Right. So the second time that I know in my life it was because of the strong women in my life that I made it was then. After mommy passed away, the women in my life just became something that I could not explain. They would say things, they would do things, they would call me on the phone at just the right time. They would give me advice, and then someone else who didn't know each other would call me later on that same day and say the same exact thing. They would open up opportunities for me. They would check for me. They would make sure that I got where I needed to go. They were just amazing. And for me, it was like a full circle moment because it went right back to our very first lesson, was that the women in your life are your community and your family. And my community and the sisterhood that I experienced in this past 2 years between the women who I'm deeply connected to since I'm a little girl, as well as women that I have new relationships with, women that I've only known for several years. And that's another thing that I think we need to get away from sometimes, because as women, we have this thing like no new friends. I don't want my day one.
I'm sorry to interrupt you real quick. I don't know what's happening. Is you're looking digitized. So I don't want you to end up going away from us, because this is so good. But I just want to let you know that I don't know if you can sense that it's starting to get better. Okay. Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Are we back?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I can't see it on my end.
Yeah, it's getting better. I didn't want to stop you because it was so good.
Oh no.
But you were starting to get digitized, girl. But go ahead.
We don't want that to happen. But yeah, bottom line is that it was a full circle moment. I understood that lesson that my mother was trying to teach me all along.
Yes.
Was that these women are an integral part of you being excellent in this world, of you surviving this world. And not that the strong men in your life are not. Men are an amazing part of life and are essential to life, but they have their own role and they have their own path, and they play that part quite separately. For my relationships with the women in my life and my role models, they have been very specific in the ways in which, and intentional about the ways that they relate to me and uplift me and inspire me.
Do you sometimes, I feel like, of course it was unexpected for us, but perhaps that night, Mommy said, I'm ready. And deep down, I feel like the reason why she was able to be ready to go was because she knew she was leaving us in good hands. She knew.
Oh, yes.
Her tribe.
Oh, yes.
She knew. She knew.
Oh, yes.
That they would step right on in.
Oh, yeah.
The minute she was gone, she knew it. She knew.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
she
listen.
knew the tribe that she was leaving behind, that she was like, my baby's going to be okay. My baby's going to be okay, because, yes, I may have been their number one. I know you weren't ready, Uncle Clayton. I know you weren't. It's okay. We know. We love you. We know you weren't ready, but let me tell you, I feel like Mommy was like, I know I'm their number one role model. I know that I'm their number one influence in their strength. But when I leave, I got a whole bunch more that are going to step right up to take up the slack. Do you not feel that way? I felt like.
Oh no, I feel that way, absolutely.
With peace in that.
Oh yeah. Well, let me just say something. Now, no things happen without context. People pass away in the sleep state. You feel me?
Yeah.
That's you know, there's a lot of evidence around that helps me to understand that.
Girl,
but yeah,
waiting until we were asleep. Like Mommy literally did not pass until we were all asleep. I'm like,
yeah.
What? Look.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you think about a life that has been through quite a bit, you want to believe that yes, they're going to be rested. And I absolutely feel that way. But I do think also too that, you know, and I want to make sure I address this, because I'm sure there's people watching who don't have this same relationship with their mother. And that's something that's come up in the last couple of years too. As I was working through my grief and losing Mommy, I would hear from different fans and different people who would say, hey, you sharing about your mother has helped me, because I didn't have that relationship with my mother. I didn't have that relationship with other women in my life. And so I want to just address that right now in saying that, you know, regardless of the relationship that you have with your blood, it is about the ways in which you build and shape your own community. And I want to take it back to really what mommy taught us, because at one time she didn't have a very strong relationship with some of her family, you know, and not that she didn't love them dearly, because the love was always there, but she had extended her family out to her friends in an effort to strengthen her community and her sense of community. And I think, and, you know, and obviously, you know, there was healing that took place in her family afterwards. But the point is that for those of you who are out there and it's like, yeah, well, I can't relate to what they're talking about because me and my mom's relationship is just straight toxic. Right. And because of that, I've had a difficult time kind of relating to other women or having relationships with other women. So I think that that is important to say, that trying to build a strong relationships and mentor relationships with women is still an essential part of your life and can be a part of your life, even if you are dealing with the trauma of not having had that foundational piece. You know what I mean? And that is possible for you and is out there for you, and that it is very beneficial if you allow it to happen. Right. If you work, and that's why it's so important to heal from your own trauma. That's why healing from your own stuff is so important, because the more that you open yourself up to healing, the more those types of energies will be attracted into your life. You will not be blocking yourself from those people who seek to just build on that and pull that to, and pull that up to the surface and celebrate it and allow it to, illuminate. That's right. But yeah, man. And not to keep going on and on, but I have to also really give a lot of love to fans of Kindred The Family Soul. Yes. There's some of our fans who I actually saw that when they came in. So I don't know if they're still here or not, but there are some people here who are fans of the group. And our fans have been a really huge part of loving and helping and healing me also. Yes. And encouraging me. Yes. And saying, hey, no, you should do that. Yes. Or how come you haven't done this yet? I mean, just the constant, barrage of love. I will leave this world having done maybe a few things, maybe more than a few things, but I will not leave this world feeling unloved. That's never going to happen. Right. Your love has never been lost on me. Yeah. But yeah, I want to talk about too, like I'm on here with you because I don't want to go hardcore with this. Right. But you're my hero. You know what I mean? You know this. You know that, I was born, I came into the world, I had a mom, but I had two mothers. Damn, my mascara about to start. Yeah, I had two mothers. All y'all that's watching, I had two mothers. I want y'all to buy my book. I ain't gonna give it all the way out, but in my book I did talk about that you participated in making me feel centered. You participated in that. And sometimes older siblings, they feel bad about that. They don't want to do that. They're like, well, why are you not paying attention to me? Or why am I not important? And you always made me feel like I could just do whatever. Like I would say, Tasia, should I do? You can do that. You're amazing. You can do that. You can do that. And you stepped in there at times, even when mommy couldn't, when mommy was going through different things, and you stepped in there and you did your magic. You know what I'm saying? And times when my mom, I want to tell you, my mom and I got into it real bad. And my mother was like, you can't be living up in here if you been here wilding out. My sister was just like, listen, I'm going to come pick her up. She's going to stay with me. She was like, I'm going to come get her. You know what I mean? And so,
what you do to my sister?
What you do to my sister? Listen, you always have had my back, man. Like, to this day, people always remember that you people don't mess with me still. You like a whole foot shorter than me, and people literally don't mess with me. They're like, your sister's crazy. If you mess with Aja, y'all see this nice, she's so nice. She on Instagram, ooh, giving y'all advice about your life. Talking about yes, being short. But I want y'all to know something. if y'all come for me, it's gonna be a problem.
It's
All
gonna
of that,
be a problem.
all that,
Look,
it's done, boo.
Do y'all hear? Do y'all
It's
hear?
done. It's done. It's done.
That's my baby. We joke about this all the time. That
Hell yeah.
she was like my real life baby doll. Like she's like she was like my like, and no disrespect with her. She knows what I mean. Like my child, in the sense that I was so protective of her. I was so grateful. She was such a blessing in my life that I was like, oh my God, I have my own real baby doll. So I had ownership of her like that.
Yeah, my kids go off because I'm always like, look, my sister never treated me like that. I don't know what y'all doing.
I mean,
I was like, yeah, y'all
like
can
ride or die, and I love her. And not just that, I won't only just fight for her. Y'all, we love hard. We loving each other. We're really affectionate. When we see each other, we can't wait to hug each other. We can't wait to sit on the couch and lay up on each other and just smile and laugh and just hug and just be silly. And we can just be ourselves. Like this energy right here, this ain't fake. This is real. This is us all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
And I have to say this. I also have to attribute that to Mom. She used to have this thing. And I don't know if you share this in your book. And I'll share this. I don't care. I'm going to say it.
Girl, y'all just listen. It's going to be what it's going to be.
Used to say this thing. Whenever she would get mad at one of us or fuss at one of us and go to your room, do what the mama's supposed to do. Be aggressive.
Tough.
But she would always go to the other one and say, go save her. Go save her. She would tell me to go save my sister. She would tell my sister, my baby sister, she could be
save her.
She could be 6 years old, and she would send her 6-year-old to go in the room to her 12-year-old to save her 12-year-old. And what she was saying is, I know as a mother that I had to do that, but I know she's in there hurting. And as her sister, it is your duty and your job to go in there and make sure she's okay. I'm about to cry because I'm saying this. Mommy instilling that in us that young, we are still like that. We make sure we're both okay. We save each other all the time.
All the time.
We save each other all the time.
And I feel like it's hard. You know, I know it's hard. I don't want to keep going back to this. I know it's hard because you know, I have 6 children, and in the relationship dynamics in my house are different depending on what kid is interacting with what child. Yeah. It's not just one big sister and one little sister. It's a couple of big sisters, couple of little sisters, little brother, big brother. You know, it's a lot of different dynamics, and I've witnessed it be a little more difficult and complicated to have that type of, you know, baseline agreement.
I can imagine.
It is what it is. Y'all are siblings, you know, work it out. And as we've gotten older, you know, we begun to talk a little bit more about being intentional with family and creating boundaries when family is not serving you, right? So even though that was how I was raised, I've had to open up my lens a bit as I've gotten older and really realize that same way of being may not always work depending on who the sisters or siblings are. Right. And really, you know, especially with women and girl children, you know what I'm saying? And so I've just kind of come to be a little bit even more grateful for the relationship that we have, because I know it's not necessarily guaranteed. Right. But also I've realized too that in order to have a relationship that works between sisters who are blood and sisters who are not blood, it's important to really accept people for who they are. They may not be able to meet you everywhere. And sometimes they do need that reassurance that says, look, I love you. I'm here for you. Whatever you did may not always work for me, but I love you. And I think that's kind of what Mom meant by the saving thing too, which was like, look, I didn't like what you did, and what you did was wrong.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that you don't need compassion. That doesn't mean that you don't need empathy. That doesn't mean that it is not okay for someone to give it to you, even though you made this mistake.
Right.
And that has helped some of the more kind of complicated dynamics in my home, where I have so many more children.
Yeah.
So I'm just, I'm grateful to have had that type of foundation when dealing with them,
Yeah.
and grateful for the kind of foundation that we had, and that agreement worked, because it
Right.
could have not. You know what I'm saying?
It could have not, because it don't work in all houses.
It don't work everywhere,
and you're
but
right.
it definitely worked with us. Mm-hmm.
So I want to say, we've established that you had like a lot of role models in your life, but we have narrowed it down that the foundation was mom. Okay.
Of course.
So
yeah.
I want to say this to you. If you were doing a video thank you note to that strong person, it has to be mom. It doesn't have to be long. I'm turning on the camera now. And what would you say in your thank you note? This is hard. You don't have to. If it's too hard.
I'm good. No, I'm game.
Hard,
no, I'm game.
If it's too hard, don't worry.
No, I'm game. I'm game. If I had to say a thank you to mommy, I would just say thank you for seeing me, for not allowing anything that hurt you as a child, as an adult, any disappointment, any pain or anger that you had. Thank you for not using that or allowing that to block you from seeing me. You always saw me. I would say thank you for talking, for not being silent and realizing that speaking to us like human beings helped me to find my own humanity and helped me to maintain my humanity at times when I may have struggled with that.
Yes.
And finally, I would say thank you for just being freaking fun.
Okay.
Because you were just one of the most fun people to be around. And you had a lightheartedness and an access to joy that taught me that it didn't really matter what was going on in my life or what I had or didn't have. That joy was always my right. Yeah. That joy was I had access to joy at any moment in my life. It was mine to have. Yeah. And that I didn't have to make any excuses to anybody to access it.
Right. That's right. Yes. I would agree with
my boo thing.
With all that.
Yes! Come on, baby.
All that. Okay, so let's lighten things up a little bit before we roll out of here. So I want to ask you a couple of things. Let's play a little game. So if you were a color, what color would you be and why?
If I was a color, what color would I be? I don't even know. Like, my kids just got on me about this. They're like, Mom has no favorite colors. If I was a color.
What color do you think exudes you or reflects you? At this right now, today. This time of
right now, today?
Well, no, in this time, it could be today or this time of your life. What color?
You know what I think? I would be the color of, that red clay dirt.
Girl, I'm in Georgia. Of course, I know the Georgia red clay.
Red clay dirt.
I'm in Georgia, girl.
I would be that color. You know why? Because I feel like I'm super grounded in my life right now.
Okay.
So I feel like that color and that actual thing, that red clay, that dirt, that soil, that earth. I know that earth exists all over the globe. Ooh. So I don't feel bound by my location. Like, I feel a part of a global family.
I said terracotta.
Yes, terracotta. I feel like I'm part of a global family. I'm part of a global tradition. And I feel grounded in that, in the soul of my people.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's funny that earlier you made a reference to mom's superpower, and that's
Yeah.
one of my questions. One of my questions was, okay, say you are a superhero for the day, just one day, and tell me what would your superpower be, and then how would you use that superpower to make a difference in the world?
Whoa. Wow.
Look, I mean, you ain't the only deep one. I only smart
Wow. First off, no, I'm not. You're absolutely right. Um, wow. I think if I had a superpower, it would be to maybe change perceptions, to help people see things. You know what I mean? Like somehow give them some sort of, because you know how like in Christmas Carol, how like the dude went back and they showed him all these different perspectives to his life, and then he changed. So I would have that, like where I could shift people's perception. And I would use that in a very, in a way which I'm sure you guys are already kind of probably understand where I'm going with this one. I would use it to help Black folks really get a clearer picture of their own history and their own power and their own ability to be, self-recognized and and self-determined and create their own destinies by understanding and seeing, all the necessary perspectives to do so. Because I just love Black people so much, and I want us to be, to be in a better position more than anything outside of my immediate needs.
Yes, I love it. I love it, and I love you, and
I love
I'm so
you.
grateful for you being my guest on my show. I've had so much fun. This is
I'm glad.
you made this. Yes, guys, I just want to say, wow, I did it. I did it. I did this.
You did.
Was in my mind, and I'm so grateful to see it manifest. And I'm so grateful that you helped it to manifest and that you helped me to see this through, to see it through. I'm so grateful. You guys.
Well, all things have to have these like purposes, right? So nothing is done without, context. And it started with me, I think is really great because you've done so much to facilitate my dreams and done so much to facilitate how I feel about myself. And it's only right that this would start between the two of us, like I said, and to also pull mommy into this mix is so important, especially as we move on into these bigger and better things in our personal lives. But I do want everybody to know something, that yes, you did do it, but my sister, this is not the only amazing thing that she's done. She's overcome so many different things and come back from the edge of her life and been had to rebuild not just her spirit, which is hard enough, but to rebuild her body, to rebuild her mind. She has been through a lot of things and has some amazing things to share with you because of that perspective. Just an amazing and loving and caring and selfless person, and I'm so glad that you two have continued mommy's traditions and improved upon them by also doing for and caring for you and not carrying into the next generation those things that we want to leave behind. So, congratulations. And I'm super proud of you. And I'm really happy for you because there's nobody that I know more deserving. Not a single person. I don't care. Fight me. You are absolutely, absolutely, absolutely deserving of every single thing that is coming your way. Amen? Amen, everybody?
Thank
Amen.
you. And let me say, I hope I don't miss nobody. Yes, Joy, I see you. I see our cousins there. I see so many of our cousins. Uncle Clayton, we saw you. Uncle Bush, we saw you. Best friend Stacy, we see you. Dawn, Mimi, our brother Charles, hope Aaliyah. Hope we ain't missing nobody. But let me tell you guys, this is, and then all of Kindred's fans, you guys, thank you for giving me a chance. I know you all are fans. You support them, but thank you. To Roy, Nikki, Tony, you guys, thank you so much for supporting me and supporting her. I really appreciate it. Aja, I love you so much. I want you guys to join me next week. I'll be doing this every Wednesday. Next Wednesday, I'll have the wonderful, the most beautiful Miss LaQuanda Plant, who is a friend of mine, but she's a casting director. And she'll be on here talking about, like I said, these stories are inspired by things that I talk about in my book, but she's going to be talking about the journey of single parenthood and her victories, her wins, but also how she got to that point, overcoming the struggles and the challenges that you face in that journey. So I cannot wait for you all to hear her story. I want to say this before we go, Aja. One of the reasons why I asked her to be a guest, her journey reminds me so much of Mommy and of ours. So much of what she's overcome, what she's been through with her children, it mirrors it. And then even the beginning parts of me in my journey as a single mother. So it was so reminiscent. I see so much strength and fire in her. She didn't even know this. I actually just told her that when I invited her, brought us both to tears. I can't wait for you all to hear about
Yes, I can't wait.
So next Wednesday, same time, same place. I want to leave you all with something, a thought. Let me tell you something. That's my favorite phrase. My man always says, let me tell you something. Terrence, I see you on here too. If faith the size of a mustard seed can manifest into something magnificent, imagine what doubt the size of a mustard seed can grow into. Replace that doubt with faith.
Yes. I needed that one. Yes.
Yes, Cece. I see you. See you right here. Hello. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm so grateful for this. And sis, I see you on the other side. I see you when it's all over. I'm going to talk to you. Thank you,
Call
everybody.
me, text me, whatever. Mwah.
I'll see you all